Parkinson's disease does not actually start in the brain, but rather down in the gut? Yes, it is entirely possible that specialized immune cells triggered in your intestine spread toxic proteins directly to your brain, actively contributing to Parkinson's pathology. If this new model is true, then targeting intestinal immune cells or early gut inflammation could provide a revolutionary way to detect, slow, or even prevent the disease decades before neurological symptoms ever appear. In this video, I'll show you how a microscopic malfunction in your digestive tract creates a biological chain reaction, the hidden highway these cells use to travel, and why everything we thought we knew about neurodegeneration might need a rewrite. To understand why this research is sending shockwaves through the medical community, we have to look at how we have historically defined Parkinson's disease. For decades, it has been framed exclusively as a top-down disorder, a disease of the brain. When you open a medical textbook, Parkinson's is described by what happens inside a very specific, tiny region of the midbrain called the substantia nigra. In this area, the neurons responsible for producing dopamine slowly begin to malfunction and die. Because dopamine is the critical chemical messenger that coordinates smooth, controlled physical movement, the loss of these specific neurons leads to the tragic symptoms we all recognize: tremors, stiffness, and slow, rigid movements. Because all of these visible symptoms are neurological, we have spent billions of dollars and decades of research staring almost exclusively at the brain, trying to figure out why these dopamine factories are shutting down. But for years, the human body has been dropping subtle, easily ignored hints that the story might actually start somewhere else. Long before the first tremor ever appears, sometimes 10, 20, or even 30 years earlier, many patients who later develop Parkinson's experience chronic, severe gastrointestinal issues. Constipation and changes in gut motility are incredibly common early warning signs. For a long time, doctors viewed these stomach issues as an uncomfortable but unrelated side effect. But eventually, researchers started to ask a much bigger question. What if the gut issues aren't a side effect at all? What if they are the origin story? This observation led scientists to propose a bold, paradigm-shifting idea known as the gut-brain axis hypothesis of Parkinson's disease. The theory suggests that the pathology of Parkinson's does not spontaneously generate in the skull. Instead, it begins down in the enteric nervous system and only later travels up to the brain. To appreciate how this could happen, we need to take a quick detour and look at just how complex your digestive tract really is. We tend to think of the gut as a simple biological tube. Food goes in, nutrients are extracted, and waste comes out. But this is a massive underestimation. Your gut is lined with its own highly sophisticated, independent neural network called the enteric nervous system, or the ENS. This network is so incredibly dense and complex, containing over 500 million neurons, that scientists frequently refer to it as your second brain. It operates almost entirely on its own, managing the incredibly complex logistics of digestion without needing to constantly check in with the primary brain in your head. But neurons are not the only important cells living in this second brain. Living right alongside these intestinal neurons is an entire population of highly specified immune cells. And it turns out, if we want to find the true starting line of Parkinson's disease, we shouldn't be looking at the neurons at all. We need to be looking at the immune system. This brings us to a groundbreaking study involving advanced molecular profiling and CRISPR screenings, led by researchers like Dr. Tim Bartels at the UK Dementia Research Institute. They wanted to know exactly what was happening at the cellular level in the gut to spark this devastating disease. What they found completely flips the script on neurodegeneration. The true instigator of this disease appears to be a specific type of intestinal immune cell called muscularis macrophages. Let's break down what a macrophage actually is. The name comes from Greek and literally means big eater. And honestly, that's exactly what they are. Think of macrophages as the janitors and first responders of your immune system. They're constantly patrolling your tissues, checking for anything out of place, dead cells, debris, or foreign invaders. When they spot something that doesn't belong, they don't just report it, they swallow it whole and break it down with powerful enzymes. It's their job to keep the environment clean and safe so the rest of your immune system can do its work. Down in the muscular layers of your intestine, these muscularic macrophages, we'll just call MEMACs for short, are constantly on patrol, keeping the environment clean so your second brain can function properly. In Parkinson's disease, the biological trash that builds up is a specific misfolded protein called alpha-synuclein. In a healthy body, alpha-synuclein is a normal, helpful protein found abundantly in the brain and the nervous system. But sometimes the shape of this protein changes. It misfolds. And when proteins misfold, they become sticky. They start clumping together, forming toxic clumps that poison the surrounding cell. The researchers discovered that in the very early stages of the disease, long before the brain is involved, these toxic alpha-synuclein clumps begin forming in the gut. Naturally, the MEMACs, the cellular janitor/first responders, rush in to do their job. They see the toxic protein clumps and they swallow them up, attempting to digest them and clear the area. But here is where the biological disaster begins. The alpha-synuclein clumps are incredibly resilient. When the macrophage swallows them, the protein resists being broken down. Instead of destroying the trash, the macrophage gets essentially clogged. The technical term for this is endolysosomal dysfunction. The macrophage becomes sick, swollen, and packed full of this very toxic protein it was trying to eliminate. We are about to trace the exact route these sick immune cells take to travel from your stomach all the way up to your brain. It is a biological highway we didn't even know existed until now. And if you want to keep up with the secret battles happening inside your own body, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. And leave a comment. What's your take on this whole toxic clumping situation? I love seeing how people picture these microscopic dramas. And yes, we really do read the comments. So tell me how you picture this whole toxic clumping drama happening inside your own cells. Now back to it. If the story ended there, you would just have some dysfunctional immune cells in your stomach. But biology is highly reactive. When an immune cell gets sick or overwhelmed, it doesn't just quietly die. It panics. It sounds the alarm. The researchers found that when these intestinal macrophages become clogged with alpha-synuclein, they begin releasing powerful chemical distress signals. One of the primary signals they pump out is a signaling molecule called TGF-beta1. Think of TGF-beta1 as a biological flare gun. It shoots up into the surrounding tissue and screams for military backup. And the backup arrives in the form of the adaptive immune system. Specifically, the flare attracts a massive swarm of CD4 positive T cells. T cells are the heavy artillery of your immune system. They are designed to multiply rapidly, hunt down specific threats, and unleash powerful inflammatory responses. When the T cells arrive in the gut and detect the distress signals from the failing macrophages, they begin to expand and multiply at an alarming rate. But these mobilized T cells don't just stay in the intestine. Once activated, they enter the bloodstream and the lymphatic system. They become mobile. The researchers used advanced tracking experiments to follow these specific gut-activated T cells as they migrated through the body. What they witnessed was the mapping of a previously unrecognized immune trafficking route, a hidden highway connecting the stomach directly to the skull. The tracking data showed that these T cells, armed and highly agitated by the misfolded proteins in the gut, traveled all the way up to the dura mater, the thick membrane surrounding the brain, and eventually infiltrated the central nervous system itself. They brought the gut-borne inflammation directly to the doorstep of the brain. And this creates a devastating chain reaction. The inflammation and the immune chaos transported by these T cells create a highly toxic environment in the brain, which encourages even more alpha-synuclein proteins to misfold and clump together. The dominoes that started falling in the digestive tract finally reached the substantia nigra, slowly suffocating the dopamine-producing neurons until they fail. Then the tremors begin. The stiffness sets in. A disease that was quietly simmering in the intestine for decades finally reveals itself in ways a person walks, talks, and moves. But this study didn't just map the destruction, it offered a profound glimmer of hope. In science, if you can map a mechanism, you can usually figure out how to reroute. The researchers asked a brilliant question. If this entire devastating cascade requires those initial gut macrophages to sound the alarm, what happens if we take the alarm away? Using highly controlled mouse models of Parkinson's disease, which are specially bred or engineered mice that develop key features of the human disorder, so scientists can study how the disease works, the researchers designed a study in which they deliberately depleted the macrophages in the intestine. They essentially pulled the first responders off the scene before they could even sound the alarm. And the results were nothing short of spectacular. When the macrophages were removed, the entire chain reaction stalled. The accumulation of the toxic alpha-synuclein pathology in the intestine dropped dramatically. Because there were no clogged macrophages to shoot off the TGF-beta-1 flare guns, the massive expansion of T cells never occurred. Without that mobilized army of T cells, the immune migration toward the brain was drastically reduced. And most importantly, the ultimate outcome changed. The dopamine-producing neurons in the brain were protected. The animal's motor behavior actually improved. By simply removing the immune cells that act as the first domino in the gut, the researchers slowed the entire cascade of the neurological disease. But before we talk about what this means for the future of human medicine, and how a simple stomach test might one day predict a brain disease decades in advance, take a second to subscribe to this channel. We are constantly tracking the scientific breakthroughs that are rewriting the medical textbooks. You don't want to miss what we uncover next. This completely reframes Parkinson's disease in a totally new way. Instead of being purely a neurological disorder, it must be viewed as a disease of the gut-immune-brain axis, a disease where the immune cells residing in the tissue of your intestines play a pivotal, deciding role in determining whether misfolded proteins stay contained locally or whether they are allowed to broadcast their toxicity and spread toward the brain. If this model holds true in humans, the implications for modern medicine is staggering. It means that the absolute earliest signs of Parkinson's disease might be detectable not with a brain scan, but with an intestinal biopsy. It means that the immune activity in the gut could be shaping the trajectory of neurodegeneration 20 years before a patient ever notices a tremor in their hand. And perhaps most intriguingly, it suggests that one day we might be able to treat, slow, or even completely prevent Parkinson's disease without ever having to cross that blood-brain barrier. We might be able to stop a brain disease by simply administering anti-inflammatory therapies or immune modulators directly to the digestive tract. All of this stems from a discovery that began with a simple, frequently ignored clinical observation. Sometimes the first domino doesn't fall where we expect it to. We spend all of our time watching the end of the line, waiting for the final piece to topple over, completely unaware that the chain reaction started miles away. In the case of one of the most devastating neurodegenerative diseases in human history, that first push doesn't happen in the mind, it happens deep inside the gut. For generations, we have compartmentalized the human body. We treated the brain as one isolated system, the immune system as another, and the digestive tract as plumbing. But research like this proves the body does not respect those artificial boundaries. The systems are all talking to each other constantly. The immune cells in your stomach are communicating with the protective membranes of your brain, and the proteins misfolding in your digestive nervous system are dictating the survival of neurons in your brain. It is one continuous, highly integrated loop. And if scientists can learn how to decode the chemical conversations happening along that gut-brain highway, we might unlock an entirely new area of medicine where we stop diseases of the mind by treating the biology of the body. So I'm curious, does knowing that a neurological disease can originate in the stomach change how you think of your own digestive health? If you knew a simple gut test could predict a brain disease decades in advance, would you want to take it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you found this deep dive into the gut-brain axis fascinating, and you want to help us keep bringing you those cutting-edge medical discoveries, tap that like button. It strengthens the signal routing network, the system that helps these complex science stories reach more curious minds like yours. Speaking of the invisible biological threats hiding inside your body for decades, what if Parkinson's isn't the only brain condition caused by a slow-burning, hidden invader. If you want to know about a common sleeping virus that over 50% of adults carry, a virus that might be quietly aging your brain from the inside out, make sure you check out this video right here. Until next time, I'm Ethan Yovanovitch, and this is Catalyst Scientific Discoveries. Keep your biological fortress secure. I'll see you in the next one.